Hello, how's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. It is Friday. Friday, the whatever the date is, 11th of April, and of course, some more Arsenal action is bound to happen today, as well as always. We have jam-packed schedule with latest transfer news, transfer twist in a way regarding Nico Williams, because that could be very interesting and very important in terms of Arsenal, because we all know how big of a fan Mikel Arteta is of Nico Williams, and there's a possibility, well, he might not get him. Let's just put it that way. Gyökeres as well. We spoke yesterday that Gyökeres is open to a move in general to Arsenal. Today, some more news about Gyökeres that are pretty much confirming that there definitely will be some movement on his depart by the looks of things. The Arteta has spoken before the Brentford game. Obviously, tomorrow Arsenal play a late kickoff against Brentford. We definitely gonna do a build up for that preview. We're gonna look at starting 11s. We're gonna look at Arteta's interview. We're gonna discuss this. We're gonna talk about rotation and all that stuff. So definitely, jam-packed schedule for today. Lots of stuff to discuss. Lots of stuff to talk about. Lots of stuff to be excited and annoyed about to some extent, and some stuff to think about. Let's just put it that way. And of course, if you're new around here, smash the thumbs up, subscribe, and leave your thoughts down in the live chat below. Marlon was here already before the stream began. He is already talking about the stuff that King is Maldini region, aka Calafiori is back, so we'll see how that goes. He's a big fan of Calafiori. I'm not gonna lie, at left back especially, still needs a lot of convincing, but we'll see how this goes. And for Brentford, he would play a lot of youth and would rotate quite a bit. Now, one thing, let's just put it like this. Does this change anything? It doesn't, because you don't see the full, you don't see the full, well, it is what it is then. It's kind of weird that you can, but you cannot. Basically, what he's saying to play a left back, right wing, Calafiori, and all this stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But today, we are kicking things off with, well, snakes in the grass. Let's just put it that way. We are kicking things off today with some snakes in the grass, and that is Vinay. Vinay. It's Vinay. Let's just put it that way. It's Vinay. Not the DJ, but it's Vinay. Basically, today, a bomba from Ornstein and everyone else dropped that he has just been appointed as the CEO of nobody else than the Nando's. Tottenham Hotspur. Hey, it is what it is. Did not leave Arsenal job for another job. While taking time out, he received opportunities from multiple Premier League teams, which is very interesting. How many multiple Premier League teams he got the offer from? Because at Arsenal, I'm not gonna lie, didn't do much. Let's just put it that way. Made C for Edu. Let's just say it as it is. So that is a weird one. He also got invites from United States, Saudi Arabia, and some private equities. But ultimately, he decided to join, well, Spurs, no matter how you look at it. And it didn't stop there. He went on an interview and blah 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 blah. He was waffling about stuff, and he said this, which is quite insane quote, to be honest, regarding Spurs more specifically, but hey, it is what it is. I'm excited to be joining Tottenham this summer. After taking some time to recharge and evaluate my options, I believe that this is an exceptional opportunity. Like, what? Like, seriously, what? What? Because, let's be real, Spurs fans in general are not too excited about Daniel Levy being in charge in general, right? And now, they want Levy gone and everything, pretty much obvious why. They want Postecoglou as well gone. Well, it is what it is, have the team gone, but yeah. And they want everyone gone, and they get another deadweight, in a way, and that is Vinay. Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's been nice in a way knowing them, but hey, it is what it is. Little bros and all that stuff. All I can say, good fucking luck. That's all I'm gonna say, and we're gonna swiftly move on to Arsenal news. Let's just put it that way. Never thought I would speak about Spurs on this stream besides match previews, reactions, and maybe some transfers on some weird level, but hey, first time for everything, here we are. Anyways, back to matters at hand and things that are most important. Arsenal have confirmed that they will have a pre-season tour in Singapore in late July, which is quite nice change of pace, I'm not gonna lie. We predominantly played in USA, which was getting boring. We are not gonna play in SoFi Stadium, so Kroenkes cannot get more money in a way, but we have decided to go to Singapore. It's, as I said, nice change, because this was a topic as well on my stream and on many other streams I was watching on Curtis and Northside, Lee, and every other many streams where they was discussing this in detail and said, why always USA? Why always USA? And that, to be honest, stands to a reason why, because we have USA owners. But ultimately, why never Africa? Because Arsenal have insanely massive following in Africa. Why never South America, for example? Because, let's be real, to go to Brazil or Argentina, it would be insane. Kid you not, some games you could do there, Arsenal versus, for example, Botafogo and stuff like that, definitely would attract some insane crowds, to say the least. And yeah, and then there obviously were the usual ones. We have visit Rwanda on our arm sleeve. We never visit Rwanda, obviously, and there's some different reasons maybe connected to that. Not gonna get into details about them, but we also didn't tour too much in Asia. We never went to Japan, for example, since we have Tomiyasu and players like that, so we never went to Japan. But for a change, we have ditched America route, and we are going to Singapore, which is a nice change of pace. I'm not gonna lie, which is nice because more international fans are about to see us. Now, the thing is though, we will face AC Milan, which is, I'm all for. Not gonna lie, facing AC Milan, it's all fantastic, it's all great, nothing too much to be annoyed about. The issue with this is, we also gonna face Newcastle in 55,000 seater National Stadium, right? We also gonna face Newcastle, which for me is very weird. Remember the times, not so long ago as well, let's be real, about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, when we were going on tours and everything, and we played teams like Salford, Nuremberg, teams like that. We never played teams, actually, we played also Barcelona, we have played different teams, but we never played teams from Premier League. In recent times, we are playing so many Premier League teams in pre-season, it's actually insane. And to some extent, we also play the teams that basically cause us the most pain, and we have the biggest risk of getting injured, because a few weeks ago we talked about that Arsenal could be playing Spurs in pre-season, right? Already North London derby in pre-season. Who wants to see that? No, it doesn't matter if it's pre-season or not, it's still a goddamn North London derby, let's be real. So, hey, what's happening here? Ultimately, we move on to some other things. We used to play Manchester United. Remember? We played United. Lisandro Martinez nearly broke, who was it? Tierney's ankles, somebody's ankles on the left side as well. So, why are we playing these Premier League sides? Why cannot we play AC Milan? Why cannot we play Borussia Dortmund? We used to play PSG as well. Why are we not playing Lyon? Besides Emirates Cup, obviously, before the season just begun. And why don't we play any teams from La Liga too much? Obviously, just played Barcelona and everything, but we tend to play in recent times quite a bit of Premier League sides, which to me is quite annoying, I'm not gonna lie, because it didn't used to be like that. We used to play some smaller teams to pick up the pace for the preseason, as I said, teams like Salford or Harrogate. Then we went to Nuremberg. It was with the B team to some extent. There were some starters, there were some youth players, there were some B team players and stuff like that, because some players still were on the break because of Euros and stuff like that, and other international tournaments. So it's actually kind of nuts how many Premier League sides we are playing. Wait, we are playing goddamn Spurs and Newcastle again, man. Man, haven't we played Newcastle Spurs? That's the biggest thing. We already, during the season, at minimum, see teams like Newcastle, obviously, teams like Spurs, at least 2 times. Home and away. And that doesn't include the cups if the basically match goes that way. Because we played Newcastle 2 more times in Carabao Cup semi-finals, so we played Newcastle 4 times. There was a possibility, basically, if stars aligned, for example, right? We could have played Manchester United this season 6 or 7 times. Like, and then we even played United in pre-season. Like, what the hell is that all about? Isn't that enough that we play already these Premier League sides at least 2 times? And it's always also the teams that we have a grudge against, or they have grudge against us. So they have more of a reason. Doesn't matter if it's friendly, pre-season or not. they're gonna be pissed, they're gonna go harder in tackles and risk injuries for us before the season even begins. So it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Only good thing is that the fact that we are playing preseason not in USA, we're playing in Singapore. It's a nice change of pace. Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it that way. So that is some nice stuff regarding all those things in general. I'm not gonna lie. Now, Nico Williams. This is according to Tele Bilbao, so it is what it is, but hey, we are talking about this. Yeah, Nico Williams staying, Zach Williams not gonna happen. Basically, what is this all about? As I'm gonna talk about this, right? It's kind of annoying that it's so high up, so I'm gonna put it a bit down. I'm sorry, but apparently there's a possibility that Nico Williams could be rejecting, is considering only, but he is rejecting, right? Arsenal, Chelsea, and even Barcelona to sign a lifetime contract, you know, at Athletic, which would see his release clause increase significantly. Obviously, his release clause, I would assume, go from 50 to like 100, 150, if not 300, right? But the biggest thing is, what does that say about the player? I had this discussion in a group chat as well today, and what does that say about Nico Williams himself? Because he doesn't want a challenge coming to Premier League, for potentially, right? Arsenal or Chelsea. He doesn't want to go one of the biggest clubs in the world football, in Barcelona, to fight for his place, to try and win trophies and everything. He much rather spends his whole career at Bilbao. Now, first things first. Bilbao are gonna pay him handsomely, because Basque region in general and all these players tend to stay at one club almost the whole career, right? So that means that if their contract get extended, it's obviously top dollar. Athletic Bilbao also are not a team that buys players too much, or at all. Ultimately, they use their academy and that's it, almost, right? So that means that if you are a top player in one of those teams, you basically are getting paid actually top dollar, that money that tends to get paid in the top teams, right? So that is for me the biggest question. If this guy potentially, right, is rejecting Arsenal, Chelsea, although Chelsea are a mess, but hey, we allow it this time, Barcelona, and some other big teams potentially, right? What does that say about the player himself? Does he have an ambition? Does he want to even achieve something, or is he gonna just go for the paycheck? Because obviously I cannot say does he want to achieve anything, because Bilbao 2 years ago won the Copa del Rey, right? The Spanish Cup they won. So 4 years ago they won another Spanish Super Cup, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So they nick a trophy here or there when the team is actually on fire, like 4 years ago with Aritz Aduri and players like that. 2 years ago, of course, as well, Nico Williams, Iñaki Williams and everything. But ultimately, what is that saying about the player? And that for me is the biggest concern. These days, these young players and everything are more concerned about their brand, about the money, their TikToks, video clips and everything. They are not focused on football as much as they used to in like 10 years ago, for example. Obviously today it's a bit more evident to quite a bit extent, but in those times you used to play at least for the love of football. These days you don't see that. Many times players just go for the money. Ben White also, like, I get that he plays football, it's his life, it's his job and everything, but he has said himself he doesn't watch football in his free time. He doesn't relax watching football. He's not studying the game in his free time. He plays for Arsenal, he trains for Arsenal, he plays the games for Arsenal, but that, and for England potentially, right, if Tuchel takes him, and he's open to that, but ultimately that's where it ends. He doesn't watch extra football to watch right backs, watch center backs, watch attackers, to maybe scout the game. He does all this thing in training with the video coaches to learn some stuff, but ultimately he does nothing else regarding football. So that is also one of the prime examples. You should not be taking example for work, for other things, but ultimately it's a big question in that regard. What is actually happening with these players these days? Because they just want the money. They don't want anything else by the looks of things. Big up Nathan. Big up Nathan, my guy. Bayern Munich ungrateful. Ad Mueller stayed in the damn club for 25 years and this is how they treat him. Bro carried Bayern yesterday and they won't let go of him. To be honest, at some point, right, you have to let player go. There is no argument about that. And if nobody wants to buy him, hey, it is what it is. At some point, your time and career runs out. Whether you leave for free, whether you get sold, it's a completely different story, because at the end of the day, it is a business. But he has spent all what it feels like his whole career there, right? So he has given it all from top to bottom. He has won not pretty much, actually everything you can win as a football player in his career. So there is no question that nobody's gonna question his commitment and anything. It's just a shame that sometimes it needs to end the way it ends. Like, player let go for free, right? It's not like he finished his career as his contract runs out. Because there are many players, like for example, who play most of their career, if not their whole career, right, in their team, in one specific team, like the olden days, and they retire there. That's one thing. But they tend to ruin their legacy by going to other teams. Like for example, for me, Frank Lampard and MLS, it's just not it. Pirlo to MLS also is not it. Obviously, it's a nice payday, but to some extent, the legacy is a bit different. Iniesta going to Japan and stuff like that. You know, like, it is what it is. You don't see players like Totti, De Rossi, and Gerrard. Even Gerrard went to MLS, right? But it's a bit different story. You don't see those players who stay at one club for his whole career anymore. Pretty much players move what it feels like seasonally these days. Every other season, certain player moves a club. Like, that is again, that's the modern day in football. I guess you need to get accustomed to it. But hey, if we speak about Nico Williams and stuff like that, hey, you have to take it. It is what it is. Yeah, I think Thomas Müller is very underrated in that regard. He does the job, he scores goals, he assists, he carries the team, but he doesn't get the recognition as he should have, the amount at least. Let's just put it that way. Heard Saka signing a new contract, him scaling. Yeah, it looks that way. Saka is open to a new deal. Skelly is getting a new deal based on this season's performances, and Manieri as well, so the time will tell how much. We are playing Brentford tomorrow at home. I know, we are doing a preview today as well. Don't worry, in about 20-25 minutes we're going to talk about the Brentford game. We're going to look at Mikel Arteta's interview. We're going to do the starting 11 predictions and all that stuff. Don't you worry, we're going to talk about it. But first we're going to talk about the obviously the transfers, so we can ease into it. Anyhow, Victor Gyökeres. Obviously, it looks like we will get daily Victor this summer. You remember how we had daily Dusan when we had transfer news and we were linked with Vlahovic? Daily Awar, daily Villa, daily Benzema. That was longer time ago, of course. It looks like this summer the hot topic will be daily Victor, daily Gyökeres and stuff like that. Obviously, yesterday we talked that he's open to a move to Arsenal. And it looks like it could happen. There were also some sparkled rumors that his agents were in the stands with Arsenal playing Real Madrid, and some other bits and bobs here or there. But today by Fabrizio Romano, it got pretty much confirmed that Gyökeres will definitely be leaving Sporting Lisbon this summer. And the Swede could be available for around 65 to 70 million. Now, if we recall, last summer we wanted to go for him. His release clause were quoted at 97 million. So, no, sorry, 90 million, 92 million, something like that. Right? And it looks like this summer the amount has dropped by 30 million to this summer. So this is a nice thing. If you can negotiate, it will be about 65, 70 million euros, which comes to about 63 million pounds at worst. Which, to be honest, is a steal for any team that's gonna get him. So we're gonna see how that goes. And of course, Andrea Berta is a big fan of the striker. He has been monitoring him since last summer for Atletico Madrid. And that was also the case. Berta was a big fan of Gyökeres. He wanted even him at Atletico Madrid, last summer. But instead, they signed Julian Alvarez. Alvarez actually wasn't Berta signing, as much as he's portrayed. For what I understand, he was a bit more Simeone signing than actually Andrea Berta's signing. But the other striker, Sorloth, that definitely was Andrea Berta's signing. They needed two different type of strikers, attackers, so they went for, obviously, Alvarez, and they went for Sorloth. So Gyökeres now is on the table, but the fact that his amount you can get him for, his price, is gonna be so low, right? 65 to 70 million euros potentially even. That is a big issue. Because last summer, arguably we could have gotten him and nobody would have asked any questions. Because we were the only people in for him. And we were the only team that could have gotten him, and we were willing to pay. Potentially, let's just assume, right? This summer that his price has dropped so massively by 30 million, I kid you not, it has put into play about, I'm not gonna lie, a bit like, I would say 5-6 more teams, because I've heard Nottingham Forest could be interested. There's obviously Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, of course, still. Sorry. I have something dirty there. Pen from work, it looks that way. And stuff like that. So there will be some, we could see some pushback. We could see some pushback and some struggles in signing him. Arteta smiling, thinking, shit, alright, it's because Berta pat him in the back. No. Big up Kwame, big up. Big up. I see you on DG streams quite a lot, mod and everything. Pretty active. I see you there. Obviously, I cannot chat too much because I'm work at the time as DG is live mostly. So yeah, but I see you there. Don't worry. Who are we going to sign? That's the question for Andrea Berta and Mikel Arteta. Transfer window, if you want to look at it that way, opens in 2 months, less than 2 months. So time only will tell. Arguably. I think Gyökeres, Ekitike, Naipans, Mendy, Huijsen, and Barcola. We are not getting Barcola. You can forget about him. Naipan doesn't look that way. Ekitike, maybe, but it also has gone dead quiet pretty much. Liverpool are more of an option. Huijsen, he has about 6 options, and I don't know what's gonna happen with that. And yeah, Barcola is definitely not leaving. You can forget about him, in my opinion. Bring Gyökeres and spend big on the left wing. That is the thing, left wing, but who? That for me is the big thing, because obviously you could go try and poach Barcola from PSG, but I don't think it's gonna happen. PSG have built a phenomenal squad. You see how they play in Champions League and how everything is going for them. And I don't think it's gonna be easy to poach any of the players. They actually like playing under Luis Enrique and how he's coaching the team. So I don't think that's gonna happen. We just talked about Nico Williams. He's considering staying with a lifetime contract, some type of deal at Atletico Bilbao, right? Which means 2 left wingers we potentially could have gone are gone. If we include last January when Kvaratskhelia went from Napoli to PSG, that's the 3rd one. So now the big question is, who is the left winger who is actually good enough we can get? And that is the big question right now. You can say Lookman, but it's also a coin toss at the moment. And after Lookman, you kind of start to struggle. You genuinely start to struggle. That for me is the biggest thing. Bring Arda Güler, 100%. Bring Arda Güler to the carpet. Number 10 right wing, both positions. Bring Arda Güler to Arsenal. Since we didn't get Olise, which we think we should have gone last summer, get Arda Güler 100%. Oh yeah, heard we are bidding 40 million for Arda Güler and we are linked with David. Yeah. Arda Güler is linked. Try Barcola, try Rodrigo. We moved to Emirates and sacrificed for 20 years to make... Exactly, that is the biggest thing. And based on how we just annihilated Real Madrid, maybe that turns some heads. Maybe Rodrigo thinks maybe at Arsenal I can do better. And for me personally as well, I don't know what do you specifically guys think, but Rodrigo as well, he is not a right winger. He is actually left winger. Rodrigo, most efficient position on the pitch is the left wing specifically. So technically, Real Madrid have 3 left wingers playing up top. Let's just put it that way, because Mbappe is more efficient from the left, Vini is a left winger, Rodrigo as well is more efficient from the left. So maybe we can try and poach him out of there. Barcola, we should try, definitely. Definitely we should try. Kvaratskhelia turned Disasi inside out and said, yeah, that was nuts. Kvaratskhelia had Disasi on ice skates the whole game. Disasi was like Bambi on ice. That was absolutely nuts. That Doué goal as well, yeah. Desiree Doué is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, we are not going to get him because PSG, even if they would sell him, would ask about 200 million most likely. So we can forget about him. If Rodrigo wants to start left wing for Brazil in World Cup, he needs to... Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing. Obviously, for Brazil, Vini is gonna start left wing. Maybe Neymar, actually. We'll see what's gonna happen with Neymar for the next World Cup in next year, right? Because he's now at Santos, see how he goes there. Because I think Neymar's goal is still one more World Cup. I'm not gonna lie about that, right? But the left wing, Rodrigo would be consistent starter for Arsenal at left wing. No argument about that. For me personally as well, the most prolific position for Rodrigo is the left wing spot. For Real Madrid, the unfortunate thing is Vini plays there, and Mbappe can play there. And Mbappe is also more efficient from the left, cutting in and driving from the left inside, just like that. So there's a big possibility if Arsenal are willing to pay the 100 million, 120 million for Rodrigo, why not do it? Why not? Genuinely, why not? Because if the rumors are true, for a change, that we have this 300 million war chest that all these top gooners are raving about, 120 on Rodrigo, 60, 70 on Gyökeres, that's only 180, 190. Think about it. We have still 110 million left for the midfielder, for the defender, for the goalkeeper, and that even doesn't include the sales, where we gonna definitely, whether you like it or not, scrap somehow up, most likely about 50 to 100 million as well. So definitely, not to include Champions League money, by the way, because if we get past Madrid from Champions League, we will have earned 79, 80 million, something like that. So the money is there. It's just the question, will Kroenke sign off for Berta? I think they will. That's the biggest thing. I think they brought in Berta. Now they're going to give him the money. And the money we should have gone last summer, because they know what he's going to do. They trust him more than they trust Edu. And they trust him more than they trust Arteta. Let's be real. Let's just put it that way. And yeah, and no Leo. If we sign Leo, I'm gonna be hella pissed, because Leo has about 160 million release clauses, and if we pay that, oh bloody hell, I will be very pissed off. Bro is a freaking baller, man. You were telling Arsenal didn't want to buy this man. Yeah, 65 million Kvaratskhelia in last January. Arteta says we want to maximize every transfer window. That has gone well. Marmoush was available for 70, 80. Kvaratskhelia was available for 60, 70. We signed neither of those. And Kvaratskhelia at PSG is earning less than Martinelli is earning at Arsenal currently. Make that make sense. We must sign Gyökeres, definitely. Yeah, 100%. We must sign Gyökeres. We cannot allow any other team to get him. Then we can sign other players. He turns inside out, an old school footballer. Yeah, Gyökeres, Due, Saka, or attack, and that. Due we are not getting as well. That would be 200 million. I don't think so. Rodrigo, Gyökeres, Saka, Goler in the 10, dude. Imagine the scenes if we had that attack. To be honest, as much as we don't rate Odegaard, because he is definitely not playing to the standards he should be playing, first of all. And we have seen him play 10 times better 2 seasons ago, right? But I think even Odegaard would look much better if he had a designated striker like Gyökeres up top. If he had more technical ability, advanced winger like Rodrigo on the left. Maybe he wouldn't drift to the right as much anymore. And those things as well. You kind of have to take those things into consideration as well. As much as we call out Odegaard for his awful performances and everything, let's be real, he is not even he's performing worse than the average Odegaard standard he has set over the years, first of all. And second of all, we have seen him play some fantastic football 2 years ago. So basically, we are holding him up to that standard we have seen, just like we do with Martinelli, for example, just like we do with Saliba. And whenever the performances drop from those standards we have seen them play for almost pretty much whole goddamn season, right? We have to call it out, because we know how good those players can be, and they're just not performing up to the par. And that's why we call them out, and people say it's toxic, it's negative, we should support them, and we are supporting them. We are just calling out the stuff that we see on the screen, we see when we watch the games, replays, video cuts and edits and everything. And we just call that stuff out because we have seen how good those guys can be. And it pisses us off in our core that they're just not performing up to the standard they have demonstrated they can perform at, basically. And Ruiz, Vitinha, oh dude. The PSG midfield is actually fantastic. One of the best midfields in Europe, arguably. Our midfield be like prime Barca with that. Maybe if we don't get Nico Williams, then we should sign João Gomes from Wolves. Didn't João Gomes just sign a new deal at Wolves? Didn't he? Wait. Yeah, he just signed a new deal at Wolves. He just signed a new deal 2 days ago. A new long-term contract that midfielder committed his future at Molineux that runs until summer of 2030 with a potential year extension added on top of that. So we are not getting João Gomes unless we play 50 times more the value. I don't want Vitinha. I would love to have João Neves, first of all. João Neves or Vitinha. The Vitinha from PSG, by the way, not the Vitinha from the striker from Marseille or wherever he plays. We don't speak if that's one to be us. Vitinha is a baller. Vitinha is very good, I'm not gonna lie. He's actually very, very good. But first things first, I would love to have from PSG's midfield Fabian Ruiz and João Neves. Those two. I'll be pissed if we buy any Wolves players. You would be pissed if we bought Mateus Cunha? Would you be annoyed if we bought Mateus Cunha? Real, Barca, Bayern all want Vitinha, you say no to it. If we buy Cunha, I guess you would crash out. That's the biggest thing. I would take Mateus, to some extent I would take Mateus Cunha. Our new Arsenal 25-26 Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Gyökeres, João Gomes. That's not a bad attack. The thing is, João Gomes literally 2 days ago signed a new contract at Wolves. He's not leaving, whether you like it or not. And to be honest, if he even is leaving, right? If he was available for, let's just say 45 million, for example, right? A week ago, with the new contract, he's now worth 70, 80, just because of the deal. And how comes nobody's talking about players like Mbuemo, Visa, and all these guys? To some extent, Yildiz as well, as Marlon as well is saying Yildiz, maybe. He's left winger for Wolves. I'm not gonna lie, I don't want Ferran Torres whatsoever. He's useless. I don't want Jamie Bino Gittens, second of all. Barcola or Doué, I wouldn't mind, but it's I think it's kinda, it will be hella expensive for us to get them. And I'm not talking the regular 80, 90, 100 million. I'm thinking about like 150, 200. Just because those guys are regular starters at PSG. That's the biggest thing. They always have a spot where to start them. That's the thing. Yeah, Cunha doesn't fit the system. I totally get that. But that's Arteta's job. 15 million a year. His job is to make the system fit the player. Not buy players that fit the system. Let's be real. Let's be real. Then who are you going to say? That's the biggest thing. That's why I am asking. Who is coming to the left wing spot? Because there aren't that many options. There were talks about Sane. I don't want Sane. Sane looks like he might be staying. Lookman is a only possibility, but he's been linked with staying, and he's been linked with Nottingham Forest and West Ham and Liverpool and about half the world at the moment. So next one is Coleman as who is there? Kwame is suggesting Coleman, but he is too injury prone. I don't want Coleman. Coleman is also past the time. Let's be real. So there are those things. There are also mentions of Paixão from Feyenoord, but he's also not it. Maybe Yildiz, Lookman, maybe yes. Just will we go for them? It all depends. No, we should buy players to fit the system, otherwise we'll end up like United. That's the thing. There are two things about this. We used to play system that fit the players, right? And that was the 22-23 season. After that, we by design have bought players to fit the system, not adjusted the system to fit the players, thus masking their weaknesses and elevating their strengths. And that for me, as much as I get it, is also a big issue for me. Because that means, and this will be the buzzword as well again as it was the last summer, you can only purchase a specific profile type of player. You cannot buy anyone. You have to look for specifically for a certain type of player. And that already spells trouble because it's very hard to find a specific type of player. And when that doesn't happen, you need to find a player who almost fits the bill. But then again, we don't want players that almost do the job. We want players that do the job. Like Mikel Arteta said and Odegaard said at the end of last season, don't be satisfied with the second place. Don't be satisfied with coming second best. Demand more. I am demanding more. I don't want second best option. I want the best option in the market. That for me is the big thing. Lookman could be the answer, 100%. I would say Kalanga or Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers I would be very interested in potentially. Very, very interested. Saka and Lookman both on the wing. Lookman, Gyökeres, Saka. How that would look. Think about it. Lookman, Gyökeres, Saka. That actually would be quite interesting to see. That would be very interesting to see. But the transfer news don't stop there, I'm not gonna lie. There are also some other stuff. This is for me the big question. Look, Man City are open talks over 100 million double rate of AC Milan players, Tijani Reinders and Theo Hernandez. Now, first things first. I'm not talking about Hernandez in this equation. I'm more talking about Reinders. Why are we not going for him? Why are we not linked with him, for example? I think he could actually do a pretty damn good job at Arsenal. I don't want Hernandez whatsoever. I don't rate him as a left back. But Reinders, it's a whole different story. And if we are looking at Reinders, why, for example, we are not looking for at the Feyenoord, the Timbers twin, Quinton Timber? Why are we not looking at him, for example, as well? There are some very good players. Some very good players. And this is the nuts one. Remember we were linked with Morgan Rogers about a year and a half ago, and he was quoted about 50-60 million, right? Nottingham Forest now want 100 million for Morgan Rogers. Morgan Gibbs-White, not Morgan Rogers, Morgan Gibbs-White. I got them mixed up. Morgan Gibbs-White. Remember we were linked with Gibbs-White? And it was about 60 million. Now it's 100 million. The question is why everyone wants about 100 million for every player. Southampton want 100 for Dibbling. Who else was there? I think Brighton wants 100 million for someone. Newcastle want 100 million for Bruno Guimaraes. Now Nottingham Forest want 100 million for Morgan Gibbs-White. Make it make sense. Why the hell is this happening all of a sudden? Everyone wants 100 million for the players. Obviously, yesterday as well, we talked about Dean Huijsen. Remember that? It's understood that Arsenal and the 4 other clubs who are in for Dean Huijsen are willing to activate the £50 million release clauses, which is very interesting, very interesting. There was Newcastle, there was Chelsea, there was Spurs, and there was somebody else, and obviously Arsenal. There is the case of those players as well. Saka, Lookman will be interesting. Rodrigo, Barcola, Yildiz, Gordon, Semenyo, Lookman. There's no cheap options. Exactly, that's the biggest thing. No cheap options. Either you pay the big money, or you get nobody. And as it goes, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. That's how it's been. And with Arsenal, to be honest, if you buy cheap, you buy about 10 times. Knowing our situation, how we have done business before. So, yeah, I would go for Rodrigo. I would just slap 100 million on the table to Real Madrid and say, hey, you won it. We won him. 100 million on the table. Perez, take it or leave it. I would do that. Definitely would do that. Gordon is a 50-50 with the Newcastle one. Rangers is quality. Yeah, I like Rangers, definitely. I wouldn't mind signing, if Arsenal sign him. Hernandez, nowhere near I want Arsenal whatsoever. Personally, Real ain't selling Rodrigo only if he wants to leave. I don't, like... I wouldn't be surprised if one of them leaves. I would not be... Somebody will leave. I think in the summer, someone from the forward line will leave. Obviously, most likely it's not going to be Vini or Mbappe, but then there in the equation there's Brahim Diaz, Goulet, Endrick, and Rodrigo. I think one of them will leave for sure. I kind of think so. Rangers was like 80 million too much. Wait. Rangers transfer rumors. Let's look at him. 50, he would be about 70. He would be about 60, 70 million. His contract runs out in 5 years, which is already annoying, I'm not gonna lie. He's valued at 50 million, so I would assume he would be worth about, what, 70 million, something in those lines. That would be quite steep on one way, shape or form, definitely. For that money, you can buy someone better. Definitely. Barrios, Agume, Timber, Wharton, Baleba. Wharton as well. Crystal Palace want 100 million for Wharton. So if you want Wharton, it's 100 million. I think Baleba as well is very expensive, about 80, 90. I think Quinton Timber could be a very good option in that regard. Barrios as well. We have been linked with Barrios from Atletico Madrid, so that might be an option, especially with Andrea Berto's connections there. Maybe we can strike a deal or something like that. Semenyo is a possibility. The question is, you see how we named these wingers. Are they good enough to be the starters? Will they be good enough to start the game, for example, in Champions League against Inter Milan, against PSG, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, score goals and get us over the line? Are they that good? That's the biggest thing. Obviously, there are many ballers in the smaller teams we can go for, and we haven't done that enough, in my opinion, where we go to a smaller team, buy their best player and say, we are Arsenal, we're going to take him, he's going to come play to us. Because other teams do that. Arsenal are the only one that doesn't do it, pretty much. So, I get it. I totally get it. Barrios don't know, Agume decent, Wharton, Baller, Baleba nowhere. Like, that's the biggest thing. Yeah, Lautaro Martinez. We are linked with Lautaro Martinez. 128 million, by the way. 128 million for Lautaro Martinez. That's the quoted price. Like, personally, I wouldn't, but hey, who knows? Endrick is decent. Bobby Charlton, you know? He said he loves watching Bobby Charlton. He used to watch Bobby Charlton. Holy crap. Sir Bobby Charlton, you know? But that's the thing. The same goes for Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz. They play, but for their talent, they don't play enough. Let's just put it that way. Lautaro, see, Nathan likes Lautaro Martinez, but 128 million seems hella too steep for me personally. I'm just gonna put it that way. Way too steep, especially if Gyökeres is available for half the price. Legitimately half the price. Anyways. Mikel Arteta, and this is a big one by the way, we're gonna get into interview in 2 minutes. Mikel Arteta is hoping that Havertz could return to Arsenal's squad before the end of the season. Holy crap! Where has this come from? Because before we got led to believe that he's out for the season, all of a sudden he could be back before the end of the season. What is happening here? Like, do they purposely give such long terms so when they say it's gonna be, could be sooner, we all get super giddy and excited or something, or what? But Arteta hopes that Havertz could be back before the end of the season potentially. That is kinda insane. Also, Arteta has confirmed that Real Madrid, Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, Real Madrid, lol, Bukayo Saka and Rice both are fit for Brentford. Whether they will play or not, it's a completely different story. Now, this is a big one. You can laugh whether you like it or not, right? But, see, Dani Ceballos will play against Arsenal in the second leg. And if you haven't watched Real Madrid this season, you probably have no idea and you won't understand what I am saying right now. But Dani Ceballos this season, arguably, for Real Madrid, has been one of the most important midfielders they have. He is actually carrying the midfield to some extent, going forward, coming back. He's not of those guys who just goes forward, he also defends, because that is one of Real Madrid's biggest issues with the attack, with the midfield. He controls the game, he distributes the ball. He actually is one of the Real Madrid's main players this season. And yes, Camavinga is not going to play, which means Ceballos is going to play, right? So, potentially. So, I'm not saying that Ceballos coming back means that Real Madrid are going to be back in the game. But for me personally, the tie is not over yet. See, we finished 3-0, right? The game finished. If the game finished 4-5-0, I would say it's done. But since it's 3-0, there is still chance. And what I mean by that is that the fact that let's just say we go to Bernabeu, Real Madrid need 3 goals, at least, to even force extra time, right? And if they score in the first 10, 20 minutes, I kind of believe that shit is gonna hit the fan. I know it sounds very weird based on what we saw at the Emirates, but Bernabeu is not the Emirates. Let's just put it that way. And if they score an early goal, it could go south real quick. And if we ball a 3-0 lead against Real Madrid, we're never gonna live it down as well, by the way. But yeah, it is what it is. And by the way, this is a nuts one. Real Madrid are preparing an emotional, motivational video that they will play to the players on Wednesday night right before the Arsenal game. When have you seen Real Madrid do this? Have we broken Real Madrid or something? Legit, as much as I have watched Real Madrid, I have never ever seen Real Madrid play emotional video, inspirational video before a game. It's Real Madrid. Why the fuck would you actually need like promotional emotional video? Like, what the hell is that about? Like, seriously. And Merino has one player of the month. That's that. Anyways, time to turn to pre-match press conference. Let's see what you're saying in the chat. First things first, then we are gonna go from there. Havertz Italians Arena final versus Barca. We will be there, dude. The thing is, Merino is doing so good at striker. I kind of don't want the Kai Havertz even to play. That's how mad it is. Then our new squad next season: Raya, Timba, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Party, Rice, Holgard, Saka, Gyökeres, and Semenyo. Looks decent. Still, something makes me uneasy about it. That Semenyo looks, as much as I can see a signing him as well, kind of throws me off a bit. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Arda Güler is also a baller. Güler is playing some fantastic football. I'm not gonna lie. Ceballos is underrated. I know many people who don't watch Real Madrid per se probably won't admit it, because they gotta solely judge him from the spell at Arsenal. But at Real Madrid in La Liga, he actually is one of the best performers they have. Yeah, he is good. Just give me 1-1 at Bernabeu. Just get past Real Madrid at Bernabeu. Let's just put it that way. He played for us on loan and we was decent. Why didn't we? Like, don't even. It is what it is. With Real, it ain't... Yeah, with Real, it ain't over till it's over. Like, that's the biggest thing. We need to watch our back at the... Yeah, that is the thing. Arteta tactic. Hopefully he does something unique. We need to be focused. Yeah, basically. We need to be focused. Have to go for... Not sure about that, but could be the thing. Raya, Timba, Saliba, White, MLS. So you wouldn't start Kiwior, ironically enough. You would start Ben White. And you would start Trossard over Martinelli. Interesting. Especially given the fact that Real Madrid will gonna try and attack. Most likely they're gonna have Vasquez as a right back, and having Martinelli as a pacey outlet in that regard would be genuinely quite fantastic to have. That is the big thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Real Madrid are a wounded animal. And to some extent, you could argue they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And the most dangerous person, the most dangerous team in any competition, in any game, is a team that has nothing to lose. Let's be real. They have nothing to lose. Because nobody's giving it. Everyone's saying, oh, Bernabeu, the aura and everything. But also they're saying it's 3-0. Real Madrid cannot change their style 180 degrees so drastically that in the second game they're gonna become 50 times stronger and better. That is the big thing. Like, it's kind of nuts. Yeah, I also couldn't believe we beat them 3-0. It was actually kind of nuts. It was nuts. The main thing is we have important players who could be suspended. Wait. Do the cards carry over? Because I know that after the quarterfinals, every card gets wiped, right? Does that include secondary yellows or not? That for me is the big question, because I haven't checked the rules that deeply, but if they get wiped, does that mean that even secondary yellows get wiped or they don't? It was the scariest match. Yeah, to some extent. Real Madrid are scared of the pace of Saka plus right. Free kicks now. That's gonna be the new shtick, isn't it? If they get yellows in the next game, yes. So they don't get wiped. So just if you get a single yellow. And we have like 3-4 players of that, don't we? I think it's Timba, it's Milesley Skelly, it's Martinelli maybe. There are 4 players. There are four players of that. Anyways, Brentford, Arsenal, tomorrow. Let's do this. Mikel Arteta's press conference session. On the feeling around the training ground over the last few days, it's great. It's great. It's been great, unbelievable energy. It was a very special night. That's over, and now full focus is on Brentford because it's the game and it's going to require the best of us. On which of Rice's free kicks he preferred? It's difficult. I don't know. The technique is very different in both of them. The range and the angles that he has got, both of them were excellent. They helped us to win the game, which is the most important thing. And if he knows which one was Declan's favorite. No. Very useful questions. Very useful questions, by the way. On if he's first in line to take all free kicks now. That's something that we discuss a lot. The different ways that he can create moments in around the box. Whether it is assist, whether it's to score, because he has all the qualities. He can run into the box. He can eliminate people by dribbling. I'm not gonna lie, Rice's technical ability is not that strong. He has the long range shot. He has deliveries on set pieces. That's we are heading with him to become the player who can decide games with very different tools as well. On the players picking up on make it happen theme, absolutely okay. On Bukayo Saka's importance for the rest of the season, very important, gives us a level of threat, connection and unpredictability that probably no other player at the moment can provide, especially with the connection that he has already built in and around the team. He's got the power to leave the stadium, which is something incredible because shifting the energy in the stadium is something really difficult to do. Okay, moving on. On Bukayo's stating he's desperate to win something with us. He's so humble, so simple, and very committed to the club. He has very deep roots connected to this football club with a lot of people here. I'm very glad to hear that he wants to stay with us and win with us. Woohoo! On how Mikel tackles the Brentford game. Just with normality, this is our context. We play every 3 days and in different competitions. The biggest stage in playing in Europe, then we come back to the Premier League and have a completely different game. Completely different opposition, context around the game. If you want to become a team that can win in any of those, you have to do it every 3 days, regardless of the scenario. On how many days off team got off for beating Madrid, just one. Okay. On how many times he watched the game back? I watched the game once and then straight away went on to Brentford. That's the reality. Cool. On if it's hard to bring the players back down to earth. It's not about bringing them back, it's now maintaining that energy and that momentum and us using it towards Brentford and a very difficult game. To be honest, momentum is the key. Momentum is the key. Because against Brentford, we need to get something. Because if we lose, it could actually kill some sort of a momentum regarding the second game against Real Madrid, I'm not gonna lie. On how much he respects Thomas Frank? A lot. Okay. On where their main threat comes from? That's the thing, they have many. To be honest, they do. They have Buemo, they have Schade, Damsgaard, Visa. They have a lot. They have lots of players we need to be worried about, I'm not gonna lie. On if Tuesday was our best ever performance during his time in charge, 100% without shadow of a doubt. For the context of the game especially, the occasion, and given the past in Europe and everything, 100%. On semi-automated offsides being introduced in the Premier League this weekend. That's right, this is the first weekend that Premier League is going to have semi-automated offsides. God help us all, I'm not gonna lie. We'll see how this goes, how long the decisions will take and everything, but oh my goodness gracious. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it is good. On if he's tempted to rest players before the second leg, we look now at how the players have recovered, because it's not about this game, it's about the schedule that we have in the next few weeks as well. Whoever plays will be very competitive to some extent. On injury updates, here we go. Declan Rice and Bukayo both are fit. It's just a matter of 2 kicks and they recovered well. Calafiori progressing as well. I think to give you a timeline is difficult because he needs to step up, especially having more people around and how he reacts after that, but he's in a good place. On how key it is to keep Ethan and Skelly, we have the most energy into making sure that the players that we have with us are happy. They feel valued, they feel very much part of what we are doing. There are talks that at the end of the season or by the end of the season, Skelly and Ranieri both are gonna sign new deals at Arsenal with bigger salaries and contract extensions. On there being 4 more days between Kai's injury and the end of the season than there was between Saka's injury and his return. So we have some extra days then, let's see. Every injury isn't the same, the mindset of those two thoughts is very similar, very similar. They have a great injury history, work ethic, and are desperate to get back playing as quickly as possible, and great medical staff as well to look after them. So hopefully we can have him, but let's wait. Once you go to the last stage of the rehab is when you can understand better how close or far away you are from making the next step. Well, it is true, and it is true. On how Ethan has dealt with playing fewer minutes lately. Skelly has played a lot and Ethan has played a lot. He started a few days ago against Havertz away. This is the Premier League and we are talking about 17 and 18 year olds that never played professional football playing that much football. I'm very happy because they deserve it and they will continue to play. Good to know. On if we are building our own heritage in Europe. I would like to use a word related to the big trophies. Okay, cool. On if that's on the whole club, not just players and coaches, 100%. On if there's any encouragement from Liverpool not being over the line yet. It's really long Premier League season, so he's gonna waffle. We have to win our football matches, be in the position and wait to see what happens, but we want to be there for sure. On if he's been surprised by the evolution of Declan's game. I think we brought a player that was already made. It was obvious we paid the money that we paid for that reason, but that doesn't mean that we are going to put ceiling on him because we believe that there was a lot of parts on his game to develop. But that's actually very true, I'm not gonna lie. On if he agrees that we got him half price. I don't think so. 200 million, holy crap. On Madrid hoping for comeback next week. We have to be focused on what we do, what we control, and when time comes, prepare the game because we know what to expect. Again, we are going to have it. Just step up again and be even better than we were in the first game. That's gonna be hard to do, I'm not gonna lie. Being better than Arsenal were in the first game, it's gonna be hella hard to do, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Real gonna play like their life depends on it, and they don't show mercy. Exactly. Remember when City had them down 3-1 and they turned it around? That's the thing. And bigger comebacks have happened in the Champions League. Remember 4-1? Barcelona were leading against Roma. Roma won in Italy 3-0. The infamous Liverpool game against Barcelona, corner taken quickly, Origi, and all that stuff. And of course, who can forget Barcelona versus PSG? With Sergio Roberto scoring the winner a few seconds before the game ended. Remember those days? Remember? Rice carry is not really... Yeah, exactly. He carries the ball more than he dribbles, so it is like that. Mikel Merino is ready for Real by causing them headache. Yeah, he is. Merino actually is doing very good at striker. Very good. Surprisingly good to some extent. Remember, Rodrigo always turns up on second legs when the Real trains. To be honest, same goes for Vinicius. He always turns up when Real tends to be in the deepest shit. So, time only will tell what's gonna happen in second leg, but we have less than a week and we're gonna find out. As we can't win the Premier League title, I'm going 3 points to Arsenal against Brentford. 3-0 for us. Interesting. 3-0 for Arsenal. That's a bold prediction. 3-0, you know. Don't forget, it's the Bernabeu, they're home, they play like... Yeah. Obviously, and in Bernabeu, the refs are on Real's side, VAR, fans, UEFA, and everyone's gonna be there. Imagine, it wouldn't be surprising if in the first 20-25 minutes, it would be 1-0 Real Madrid and Arsenal had a red card. Wouldn't be surprising at all, I'm not gonna lie. But that would be another robbery. But the main thing is, for me personally, we need to keep our goals safe without conceding as long as possible. I know it sounds very obvious, I sound like Michael Owen, but the quicker Real Madrid are scoring that first goal, the more our legs are going to start to shake. Because if it happens the first 10-20 minutes, then any single mistake can be very costly. For me personally, 2-0 lead is the worst lead. 2-1-0, 3-1, 4-2, worst the leads you can have. Because those two goals give you false feel of safeness, basically. It gives you a false feeling that you are safe. And that for me is a big worry. Yeah, to be honest, we haven't lost to Brentford in quite some time, if I'm not mistaken. We are doing decently. Yes, the results are only 1-0, 2-1, 2-1, stuff like that. But we haven't lost to them in quite some time. Brentford are dangerous. With some Buemo, Schade, Damsgaard. Yeah, they are very dangerous, I'm not gonna lie. Our attackers, they are very... And Brentford loves a game against a Big Six club, don't they? They always do well against Big Six clubs. Always somehow manages to get something from them. We haven't had a clean sheet against Brentford in a while too. Let's check. I need the other way around. I need 11v11 Arsenal versus Brentford. I cannot deal with Brentford versus Arsenal. Here we go. Arsenal versus Brentford in the last games. They got promoted in 2021. We lost 2-0, then it's 2-1 win, 3-0 win, 1-1 draw, 1-0 win, 1-0 win, 2-1 win, 3-1 win. So overall, we do pretty damn good against Brentford. Since they got promoted, we have won 6 games, drawn 1, lost 1. So it's actually not that bad. Okay, League Cup in between, let's not count that. So we have won 5, drawn 1, lost 1. So it's not that bad in regard of all things. Well, drawn 4, sorry, 1-4, drawn 1, lost 1. 4-1-1 in 6 games is actually not bad. That's 67% win ratio. That's actually bad to some extent, but we don't lose, and yes, we have conceded goals in the last 2 games against them. I'm not gonna deny that. But we tend, in the last few games, we have scored quite a few goals, and we haven't lost to Brentford since 2021. So we actually are doing pretty damn well against them. It doesn't look like it's gonna be that big of a worry as maybe Marlon wants to think, but it could go either way, especially with the fact that I assume we're gonna rotate to some extent, so it could definitely play some cruel joke in that regard. Ranieri number 10, Skelly number 3, Odegaard out. No, I'm not cocky. I'm just stating the fact that Arsenal haven't lost to Brentford since they got promoted. However, the thing is, we gonna rotate in this game, whether you like it or not. And that could be a very damaging situation. That could play a good cruel joke against Arsenal, basically. We need to be careful no matter what. But yeah. Big up Kwame, big up. Have a nice evening, have a nice Friday. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Obviously, I'm gonna be live after the game. Straight after the game to some extent. Because the game ends, what? Half an hour before I go live, so... be there. Big up Kwame, big up. If you haven't already as well, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, helps a lot, helps the algorithm. The sooner I can get to 500 subscribers, the better I can actually try monetize the channel and everything. Yeah, Ranieri didn't play too much as well, but that's due to Saka as well. And Saka, to be honest, Saka has been back for 3 games and he looked better than pretty much almost our whole attack combined since he was out to some extent. Yeah, PSG and Barcelona arguably are the 2 favorites to win the Champions League at the moment. Because the football they play, it's actually kind of insane. Dark horses for me is Inter Milan and could be Arsenal. Inter Milan, just due to their ragged defense. Solely they have no problem with sitting there, stinking out the whole game, and that's about it. And then hit you on counters. And since an Italian team is a fantastic to absorb the pressure, to basically nullify you. And let's be real, Inter Milan is the only team Arsenal have lost to this season in Champions League as well. And to think the teams we have played. So yeah, anyways. Starting 11 against Brentford. I think we're gonna go with David Raya in goal. I wouldn't be surprised if Neto started, but we need some security at the back. I'm gonna go Ben White as a center back. This is very tough, I'm not gonna lie. I think Kivior will play. Although I could be wrong. I would start Tierney. I'm not gonna lie, I would start Tierney. Although I would maybe play Tierney as a center back. Against Visa, against Mbuemo. Maybe. The issue is, we need to start Saliba no matter how you look at it. That for me is the big issue right here. We need to start Saliba no matter how you look at it. We don't have that right center back. That for me is the big thing. Calafiori cannot play. He's still about a week, 2 weeks away. By the looks of things. Actually, why not do this? This looks very makeshift and very bad, but hey, it is what it is. White, Kivior, Tierney, Zinchenko. This looks hella makeshift, I'm not gonna lie. Potentially. Nah, Raya can play. It's not that big of a deal with David Raya in this regard. I think, at least. Against his old team as well, you know. I think Jorginho must play, that's for sure. The question is... Wait. Why not do this? We could actually play Josh Nichols. He's not available. Just assume that's Josh Nichols, right? Yeah, Josh Nichols right back and Ben White at center back with Kivior, yeah. I can see this actually. The question is how the midfield would look. Wait, let me look at this. How did we set up against Everton? Wait, that's the women's team. Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. Merino Rice. This was the 11 for the game we played against Everton. I can see something similar. I don't want Skelly and Saliba to start. That is the biggest thing for me. So they are off and Tierney starts and White goes to center back. Maybe Josh Nichols starts. I think White will start and Ben White and Timber might come on as a substitute. That is definitely for sure. So that is the big thing. Saladin. That's the biggest thing. I don't know how will we rotate that heavily or not, because the game is gonna be rough and tough. 100%. It's not gonna be easy. Oh. We can do this. I think Rice might... I don't want Rice playing though, Merino. We actually could play Merino in the midfield and have Zinchenko in the 10. This team looks hella scuffed, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, it's Champions League is priority, so we are rotating, right? What team did we put up against PSV? Kivior, White, Gabriel. Okay, Gabriel. Rice, Jorginho, Zinchenko was in the 10. See? Thierry was left wing. Fuck me. For me, that center back spot is very, very under the questions, you know? Because for champion, I would rotate. And this would be my 11. I'm not gonna lie, this would be my 11. But since we need to rotate and everything, right? But the center back spot we have, the right center back with no backups, is the biggest mindfuck you can ever imagine. If we had, for example, Calafiori, I would put Kivior as the right-sided center back, Calafiori in the center back spot. So that means either Saliba has to start, or we need to play a youngster, basically. That, for me, is the biggest issue here. I don't know. Because the attack, I think, is gonna be like it's here said. Midfield, we could see this midfield just like we did against PSV and teams like that, and it would be somewhat makeshift like we had against Everton. I can see that. Maybe something meshed up. That right center back really pisses me off. Because we don't have a right center back backup, which means we either have to play youngster or we have to play Saliba there. We cannot play Timber. Timber needs a rest first of all. And maybe he can come on as a substitute in about, what, 70th minute, 75th for Ben White. I don't want to put Saliba as a center back. That's the biggest thing. And we don't have left backs enough in the team as well to play. Yeah, he scored against PSV, a very nice goal. So I actually don't know. I genuinely don't know. Like, that center back spot is really bothering me. That's the thing. That's the thing. We don't have academy center backs. We had Maldini, but he's out on loan. Only way we can see this is if we play Nichols, right? That's the only way I can see this. That's the only way I can see something like this if Nichols plays from the youth team. Because technically we have about 7 left backs, but none of them can play. Let's check. Under 21s. Okay. Yeah, we have Nichols, center backs. They don't even have center backs. Holy crap. Yeah, Arsenal under 21s. Rodziak, Francis, Saladin. We don't have center backs, so basically this could be the option potentially. This could be the team we see tomorrow potentially. Left back FC at this point. Yeah, basically. That's basically what it is. Left back playing technically at number 10, left back as a left back as a center back, right back as a center back, and the right back as a right back. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Because I don't want Saliba, Timber, Partey, Rice, Saka, Martinelli starting whatsoever. The biggest issue is our midfield is so scuffed as well since Merino plays striker that we need to play one of the starting midfielders we have in the main squad in the midfield. I wouldn't play Rice or Partey, which only leaves Merino. Unless Arteta actually for a change does this. Potentially. Maybe this? Trossard as the 10? Zinchenko as an 8? Jorginho as a 6? Something like that. It's all hella scuffed, and that is the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing for tomorrow. It's all scuffed all over the place. Maybe Butler or Yadeji gets a debut. Who knows? God bloody knows. But yeah, that is the biggest headache, the rotation. Because obviously there are some starters like Kivior, Raya, and stuff like that. But we have players we can rotate. Obviously the quality is gonna drop, no matter what. But yeah, that's the big question. But anyhow, for tomorrow I think it's gonna be a rough game. It's gonna be tough. Brentford definitely will get at us because we need to rest our players, we need to be chill, we need to relax, we need to prepare. Our mind is definitely gonna be mostly on Champions League. So I think the result is gonna be 2-1 Arsenal. I think we're gonna win, but it's gonna be hella close. It's gonna be very close. So I think Arsenal are gonna win this, but they gonna just scrape it. Because I think in second half, we gonna sub on some starting players so they get some minutes into their legs, which ultimately will lead us to a goal. Or two even. And it's gonna be more than 2-1. Or it's gonna be 1-0 and we're gonna sub on some starters and it's gonna be 2-1 Arsenal at the end. That's how I see it going, at least. Let me know what you think in comments below. My prediction is 2-1. Let me know your predictions down in comments below. Let me know your starting 11 down in comments below. And thoughts on transfer situation currently regarding Arsenal. But yeah, for today, I am out. So, like the stream, subscribe if you're new around here, leave your comments, and see you tomorrow after the game. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Enjoy tomorrow, Saturday, and enjoy this evening.